Good afternoon, I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. A special welcome to those of you watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can watch TVJ live by downloading our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1, followed by the word Spot Media. We start with the latest on Hurricane Irma, where the death toll continues to rise. At least 18 people are now confirmed dead from incidents related to Hurricane Irma. The deaths, all on Caribbean islands, include 9 in French territories, 1 in the British Overseas Territory of Anguilla, 1 on Barbuda, 4 on the U.S. Virgin Islands, and 3 in Puerto Rico. Hurricane conditions are now spreading westward over portions of Cuba and the central Bahamas. Hurricane Irma is expected to be near the Florida Keys and the southern Florida Peninsula by Sunday morning. Maximum sustained winds are near 150 miles per hour with higher gusts. Meanwhile, as locals try to comprehend the extent of the devastation on some islands, they are simultaneously preparing for another major hurricane, Jose, which is currently a Category 3 storm and is due to hit the northeastern Caribbean tomorrow. The St. Elizabeth police have recovered the motor vehicle said to be driven by the alleged scammers arrested in Morningside, St. Elizabeth on Thursday. Following the arrest of the men at a house, the police searched another area in Morningside where a silver Mercedes-Benz was found hidden in bushes. A firearm, 9 cell phones, and lead sheets containing the names and personal information of people living overseas were also found in this house. When our news team arrived at the premises, 2 men and a female in handcuffs were being whisked away by the police. Reports indicate that the police were conducting an operation which led them to this house in Morningside. TVJ News understands that the Firearm Licensing Authority, FLA, has written to more than 100 firearm holders instructing them to return their guns. This follows concerns that the permits were issued under questionable circumstances. Our news center has been informed that some of the licenses were granted as far back as 2012. More than 40 of the firearm holders returned their guns to the FLA yesterday. The individuals were also fingerprinted after handing over the weapons. Reports have resurfaced that the FLA granted licenses to applicants who were previously denied by the former board due to adverse traces found during investigations by the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Some of the applicants were reportedly found to be involved in lottery scamming, murders, and gun running. Head of the Economic Program Oversight Committee, EPOC, Keith Duncan, is hoping that the zones of special operations will help to reduce crime in Jamaica. Mr. Duncan says the social intervention component of the program is a good move.
We see hotspots in Jamaica. We are hoping that there can be deliberate action around those areas also, so that the Jamaica can get to a sense of, can increasingly move to a sense of comfort. Jamaicans need to see that there is action, structured, organized. I do appreciate clear build and hold strategy. I do appreciate the social intervention piece. I believe social intervention is where the emphasis needs to be in Jamaica as we look to really invest in our people, invest in our communities. That is where you will get to the heart of crime.
Residents in Cedar Valley in St. Thomas protested yesterday against poor road conditions in their area. We have more in this report. And we will have that story in just a few minutes. Mayor of Kingston, Delroy Williams, is hailing the planned January opening of a new entertainment complex on the downtown Kingston waterfront as a major boost for the redevelopment plan of the country's capital. During a tour on Thursday, Mayor Williams said the structure would help change how residents view downtown Kingston. The man behind the project, Richard Azar, says the investment is evidence that he's bought into the redevelopment plan for downtown Kingston.
The first floor is going to be a sports bar and grill. The second floor is going to be a seafood restaurant. And the third floor is going to be an open-air roof bar that is open to everybody. We're also developing a courtyard behind us.
We at the KSAMC, we take that responsibility seriously. We have to provide those spaces so that our residents can relax, have places to go with their children, relax and enjoy an evening, enjoy part of a day. That is a responsibility we are committed to.
And it's time now for our Fact or Fiction feature. Fact or Fiction, the constabulary force was introduced to Jamaica by the English. We will tell you the answer at the end of the sports segment of this newscast. Further afield, at least 32 people have died after the most powerful earthquake to hit Mexico in a century struck off the country's southern coast. The magnitude 8.1 quake was registered off Mexico's southern coast just as heavy rains from Hurricane Katia lashed the east coast. We have more from the CNN.
It was a very, very strong earthquake, one of the strongest I felt. And let me tell you, I was here in 1985 when that earthquake collapsed Mexico City. So we're looking out for each other, all the neighbors, like what should we do, where should we stand? Because also let me tell you that I live in an area in Mexico City that is considered one of the most dangerous ones, also with downtown Mexico City. This is an area next to the Angel of Independence for those who have been here. So it's, we are all in extreme alert.
So, Paulina, let me just be clear. When it struck, you were driving and then you pulled over and stood out in the street. Where are you now? Have you been back to your apartment, which I understand is in a very old building? Have you been back to get a sense of whether there's any damage?
We go back to some local stories where Petrojam is seeking to address concerns about the use of U.S. Gulf reference price as a marker of oil prices, even though Jamaica gets its crude supplies from multiple sources. The issue was again raised after the oil refinery announced that petrol prices would increase by more than $3 yesterday. However, with Jamaica receiving crude oil from Venezuela under the Petro-Carib agreement, questions are being asked about the mechanism for calculating the weekly prices. Speaking yesterday on RJR's Beyond the Headlines, General Manager of Petrojam, Floyd Grindley, gave a breakdown.
Products in keeping with the principle of import parity, which is the industry best practice for commodity pricing. It's also universally accepted by international agencies, including the IMF. Import parity, Petrojam is not the only company that imports petroleum products. We actually have 3 other importers that import. So we import parity, meaning consistency between all importers. It's a method to establish market-based price of imports.
And Mr. Grindley added that Petrojam gets products from the Gulf of Mexico and Trinidad. He gave a further explanation.
In different regions, they use other references. Why we use Gulf Coast is because that is one of the closest reference to Petrojam. Other countries as Trinidad, which is as close as possible to Venezuela, they also use U.S. Gulf Coast reference. Even going back to my memory, Mexico, even Venezuela uses U.S. Gulf Coast reference.
And back to a story we introduced earlier, where residents in Cedar Valley and St. Thomas protested yesterday against poor road conditions in their area. We have more in this report.
Taxi operators and concerned residents are calling on the relevant authorities to address the problem. The residents say most of the roads have no asphalt, which is a hindrance to everybody.
Presently, the road is so bad that we are considering of giving up. We can't manage anymore. In fact, the road and the river course is almost like the same. We can't manage anymore. Now, they always said for us to buy the draining parts. And right now, because of the bad situation on the road, the draining parts are failing us. We have to be at the mechanics so often.
Bus operator Linton Edwards says residents have been fixing a number of places. However, they have reached their limit.
And there are some breakaway on the roads, and the water is running on the road. When the rain falls, the water is running miles on the road. So it's digging up the road. So we have to be maneuvering between the side of the road and where the water dig out. And some of the places are so bad, we don't want the landslide to tear away with us.
Down at Surge Island, 3 lives, young people, were lost on just one crater only because it is so huge and persons have been dilly and dallying around the holes. 2 bike boys died from it. Another gentleman died from it. So it's not safe.
According to the residents, lives have been lost in road accidents due to the deplorable road surface.
And if you can't manage, Mr. Robertson, you just have to leave, because we know that you are given community development funds. Every MP get that development fund, and for our community, nothing has been done.
The residents say they feel neglected. They say enough is enough and the Member of Parliament needs to deliver now or leave. Simone Golding reporting for TVJ News.
Thank you, Simone. And we go now to sports. In his first full season as the club, coach Glendon Admiral Bailey is looking to put his mark on Waterhouse FC. And with pre-season training now behind them, the Jerusalem-based team is hoping that's the same for their poor run of form over the last 2 seasons.
Called in to perform a rescue act midway last season, Coach Glendon Admiral Bailey has assembled a unit he thinks will at least make the playoffs this time around.
Trying to straighten up all the areas that was faulted last year. One of the main plans I had coming into this season was to try and get 2 players, at least 2 players in every spot. I think I have accomplished that. I think I have achieved that. And I think we're ready.
Waterhouse have made use of the transfer period with the acquisition of several players who Bailey says will feature early in the season.
My only concern is that we have about 15 to 16 new players, and that's a very lot of players. And maybe my first, 20 minutes of the first game might be a little jittery, yeah, because I am planning to give a fair amount of those new players their debut in the first game.
Among those arriving is former Portmore United midfielder Tremaine Stewart, who is no stranger to Jerusalem.
The change is to get better and to do better. You know, Waterhouse was in difficulty last season, so the change is to try to come here and to make it happen.
Defender Sean Laws is another such player, having featured for Rena last season.
As you say, you know, I've been around in other teams, well, it's not really I just want to leave or nothing like that, you know what I mean? It's just looking for the right home, the right person to get my talent to where I want it to. So definitely I think Coach Admiral has it.
However, the big move this summer is midfielder Dasha Satchwell, who came over from title holders Arnett Gardens.
This move should have happened from last December, but the manager, Charlie Chaplin at Arnett Garden, called me and tell me that he need me. Tell me that I should just give him the trophy, then I could leave, and that's what I did. So.
Not many teams will have an overseas-based player in their ranks this season, but Waterhouse will, with the acquisition of a young player from Venezuela.
It's Christian Herrera. I don't know if I pronounce his name right, but you know me and the Spanish thing. He has been with us from pre-season. He's getting better at English. He's getting better at what I want him to do. He's getting better at understanding the system. He's now fit in, I should say. He's a midfielder. He's a right midfielder. Full a lot of energy, full a lot of work, full a lot of running, you know, and that is what this team is.
2-time Premier League winners Waterhouse will look to finish in the top half of the table for the first time in 2 seasons. Renata Brown for TVJ Sports.
Our fiction feature. We asked fact or fiction. The constabulary force was introduced to Jamaica by the English. Well, that's a fact. In 1867, 2 years after the Morant Bay Rebellion, the English colonial government created the Jamaica Constabulary Force. The uprising demonstrated the vulnerability of peace and law on Jamaica and caused the establishment of formal police force. The force began operation with 984 members and continues to serve Jamaica to the present day. And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Join us at 7 for our primetime news package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon and have a great weekend.